come. All right, I'm here with, this is Snicker and this is Doodle. Aren't those great names? In this video, I'm going to show you how you can get your dog to listen to you better when it's in the yard or in different situations. Also, how you can teach your dog to have a positive association with something that it might be barking at right now. Now, to do this, I'm going to use a clicker. Now, the dogs are brothers, and we try to work with, this is the third time filming this video, they are basically insecure when they're not with each other. So I tried to do it with each dog separately, and they both were insecure. So if you're going to do this, when they were separately, I had to prime the clicker first. And if you haven't primed the clicker, you need to do that. And the way you prime the clicker, so what I'm doing is I can either drop the treat on the ground. Let's not do that. There we go. Like this. If he's looking. You're not making it easy for me, buddy. It's like, yeah, but it's almost the 4th of July. All right, so what you want to do to prime the clickers, you want to take about 10 treats, drop them on the ground one at a time, and as the dog licks them up, or you can hand them to the dog, but every time the treat goes in the dog's mouth, it hits a click. And after a while, the click is, the dog really likes the click, and the click's almost an indicator, or almost synonymous with the treat. Now, the way you would click is when the dog does the thing that you want. So let me show you with Snicker. Snicker, come, sit, sit. So when the butt hit the ground, I clicked, and then I gave him the treat, and I told him why I'm giving the treat. Now we're going to take a couple steps away. Snicker, come. Come. Snicker, come. Sit. 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 Now watch his head. Come. Come. Sit. Sit. When I walked away, if you watch this again, his head, he was following me. So one of the things I'd like you to do, we move a little closer so we're still 6 feet, but it's hard with the ARC. So basically what you want to do is I'd like you to put your dog on a leash, walk around your yard, and you're going to give him a command, either come, sit, or lay down. The dog has 3 seconds to do it within the first time of you saying it. If he doesn't do it, you walk 3 more paces away, and you repeat a different command. You can repeat the same one, I guess. I'd probably repeat a different one. And then the dog listens to you. When it complies, when it sits, you click, or it chests its turn, you click, and then you give it a treat and say sit or down, and then you take 3 more steps. So you have kind of a little bit of a track here that you can walk around. So the idea is to walk around parts of your yard. We're using a 6-foot lead, so he has a little bit of freedom. He can move a little bit further away from me, but I have control with this. And I usually like to put the leash around the hand that has the clicker, and I have the clicker around one of these things, so I can be treating whatever I wanted. And what you'll see is the dog, come, come. So the dog's now practicing listening to you and filtering out the sounds and the sights of the birds, the air conditioner, all the rest of the stuff. So this is a great way to get the dog dialed in to listen to you, because why? Well, listening to the human is now rewarded. I get the best treats I've ever had every time I listen to the human. Why wouldn't I listen to the human some more? So you walk around the yard, and you're doing this preferably without the dog there or without any dogs here at first. We want to establish it. And you can also do this in your house. But the idea is we want to go to progressively more and more challenging situations, i.e. situations where the dog is going to have more distractions, for example. Now, I'm going to walk over here a little bit. I'll have you just stay right there if you could, but if you could walk on the dirt. Come right up on the dirt. There you go. So over here is where a house is. These dogs used to be able to kind of hang out and watch people in the backyard, but the dog next door was off leash and charged the dogs, and they kind of got in a little bit of a kerfuffle. And nothing really bad happened, but ever since then, these dogs have become territorial of their yard, especially if there's a dog over there, and they're kind of on heightened alert. So what I want to do, and the rest of the things I'm going to talk about, I'm just going to have to kind of pant on because that dog's not there. And you might need to have one of your friends come over with a dog that they can control. We can do this whenever the dog comes out there eventually, but I would like to start off with the easiest version possible. So what I'm going to do is I've only got 2 left, so I'm going to cut these in half so I've got extra treats. So I'm going to do what's called free shaping here. So actually, I guess, could you step back on the platform? I want to kind of be able to see. Can you see that the black the fountain right there? Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this clicker and free shaping. So whenever he looks at the fountain, I could say any word I want. I'd probably get the name for that dog and say its name. So I'm just waiting. Now, if he's looking at your treats, put your hand behind your back and have your finger on the trigger. And he's looking everywhere. The only way he gets a click is by looking at that one specific thing. This requires a lot of patience. Now when he looks in that direction, fountain, or whatever the word is. So what you'd like to do is when that dog is out, we'd like to start pairing, looking at that dog earns me a treat. However, the closer he is to that fence, the more protective and reactive he's going to be. So we talked about off camera about exercising your dog to set it up for success. So you might need a couple doggy stairmasters before this. Now we have a nice sized yard, so I'd probably be like way over there against your fence by the drainage steel when that dog is out. That's as far away as you could possibly get from that dog. And what you're going to do is you're going to have him on a leash, and he should be far enough away where he shouldn't be charging the fence. If he does charge the fence, you might actually have to be outside your fence. Always increase the distance when dog's reactive. You want to find a distance where he will, ironically, sit and take a treat. If a dog won't sit or won't take a treat, it probably has cortisol or the adrenal glands have been activated and it's no longer, cortisol shuts down non-essential body functions like digestion. So if he won't take a treat, he's saying I'm too close or that thing is too intense. Now the ideal situation would be have that dog out, coming out on a leash and very calm and quiet after it's been exercised. But I don't know how the guardians haven't mentioned anything about their neighbors, so I don't know if they can get their dog to do it or not. So if that's the case, sometimes we would just have another dog come by to practice an analog. And you might even have your friend come over and your friend is inside your yard with a dog that looks similar to that dog. And he'll know it's different. But basically what you do is you just sit there, wait, and as soon as he looks at the dog, you click, and I can either say friendly, amigo, or the name of the dog. So what we're doing is now, and what you're going to see is, if let's say the camera is the dog, and so I'm kind of Snicker, I'm kind of hanging out, friendly. Okay, that was kind of unusual. I wonder how I can get that again. Friendly. So it happens every time I'm looking at that dog, and what you'll find after a while, he's kind of starting to look at the dog. But when he clicks, he turns away from the dog. So now he's looking at the dog, and then he clicks, which takes his look away from the dog, and he's rewarded for that, and we're pairing it with amigo or the dog's name or whatever it is. So you want to keep on doing it at that distance until he's pretty much just staring at the other dog in almost an inappropriate way. Then you take one step closer, and then you repeat the process. This might take several practice attempts. This is not going to be done in one session. And I would do it with each dog separately, and eventually you want to do it with both dogs together, but make sure they're properly exercised. So you're going to start way over there, and when that dog comes out, so right now, if I haven't talked to the guardians about it, but I'm surmising from most of my clients who've had a problem where their dog has a problem with the neighbor dog, when that dog comes out and you're out here, you probably go inside or you're frustrated, you're worried. Well, now I get punished. I'm having a great time in the yard. That dog comes out and I have to leave. So that can look like a negative. And we also as humans get frustrated about that. I'd like you to look at that as, oh, the dog's outside. Let's go practice. Put him on a leash. Go out there right away and start practicing. Use it as an opportunity. Turn a lemon into lemonade. And so eventually you get closer and closer and closer. Now looking at that dog represents a positive. And I hear the dog's name. So eventually I say the name is Rocky. Yeah, I want to go look at Rocky and get some treats. Now ideally in a perfect situation, anytime the dogs get in a fight, I always want to separate them and make sure that they are calmed down. But I want to get those dogs re-together again as fast as I possibly can. I might not be able to get them together again this close. I might have to walk them with human, dog on the outside, but I want them to have a shared experience of something positive. Now, so sometimes you can do this, sometimes you can't. Sometimes neighbors we get along with, sometimes we don't. So I might, what I always recommend the clients do is send a letter, a little card, or get some muffins or something like that and leave it outside your neighbor's house, or just, just say, hey, just wanted to, we had a dog psychologist come by to help us out. We're gonna try to get our dogs to stop barking at your dog. He gave us a couple good tricks, things that we could do. If you're interested in helping us, we would love to do it so you don't have to listen to our dogs bark every time your dog comes out. If you don't want to understand, we could still practice a little bit, but we'll be practicing when your dog comes out. Just so you know, we are working on it. We appreciate you helping us or whatever. Even if the other dog, I'm not saying who's right or wrong in this case or any case, but if you're just conciliatory and you send one of those things, you're not accusatory, and there's a little bit of a peace offering, and hey, we hired a dog psychologist, it sounds funny, but people, well, I'm working on it. I find that a lot of people, you can bridge that gap and suddenly get the dogs back together. I would love to, if you could, get a situation where we're going for walks together. And even if it's we're walking on this side of the street, they're walking the other side of the street, but we're all in a line, so we're doing it together, and gradually we kind of start collapsing that distance till eventually we're close together, and we have those positive associations. So if we pair that with getting the dogs proper exercise, creating a healthy leader-follower dynamic, rewarding desired actions and behaviors so the dogs don't think it's their job to protect or guard the yard, we practice having the dog be obedient and listening to us in here, and then we practice what I call click for looks. Now the dog is, we really upended the cart, and now the dog looks at that other dog as a positive. If it was a problem, my humans would let me know because they're acting like leaders now. I've had my energy depleted, so I'm rewarded. I get rewarded for all the things that my humans like to do, so they're not frustrated and there's no anxiety or stress anymore. This is a totality sort of scenario event, and eventually he's just like, he's more relaxed, you're more relaxed, that dog's relaxed, and now we can enjoy our summer at home in COVID. Now, one last little thing. If the dogs are at the fence and barking, and we call on them or we correct them, it's not going to work how we're going to accomplish it. What I would probably do is come up with a practice scenario where the dog practices going from that fence to here, or that fence all the way to the top. So the way you might do that is I might have one of you over there at the fence with a low-value treat. Shouldn't be milk bones; those give dogs cancer. They have yellow dye number 5 in them, which has been outlawed by FDA, not by USDA. So I'd have somebody over there. The dog comes over to that person. They give them a very low value treat, like a old Mother Hubbard's cookie treat. Until the dog sit, give the treat, sit. Then somebody up here, and we call it like retreat or flee or whatever, some funny word. And then the dog runs up here, runs up the stairs, and we click and we give it a very high value treat, like the chicken liver treats that I've been giving. Then we let have the dog go back over there, and it's nice and relaxed and calm, and we call it back up here. And so it's practicing going from that fence all the way over here, running up here. Now we're doing this without the other dog there. So I'd practice running from that side of the fence and that side of the fence. So we're helping them, like I talked about at the beginning of the video. I think of this version, we did it 3 times, but you have to help dogs practice anything you want them to do. So I want the dog to practice running away from the fence, or do it consistently when there's a dog there. I have to practice in an easier scenario, which is when no dogs are there. And after a while, you'll just say, but I would come up with a word, not come, but a word that means specifically to run from the fence all the way up to the front door. And so you might get a really high value treat. I like using what I call doggy crack. It's Stewart's freeze-dried beef liver. I don't know if you can do the beef liver. The chicken liver I found is not as enticing, but you can also use warm chicken from Chipotle. So a really, really high value treat. One big dog like this is a special treat I'm going at any other time. So if I hear retreat when I'm at the fence, I'm busting a move. I don't care if the other dog's there. I can bark at you later. The chicken is only around every once in a while. But again, we practice and rep it a lot. So I'd like you to practice this. Let's go over instructions. I'd like you to come out and practice the clicks just for sit, stand up, and stand. Grab yourself like about 30 treats. And if you're using my treats, use a knife to cut them in half. They won't be crumbly. And then you get twice as much mileage. Walk around here. So you get 30 practices for each dog once a day of sitting, laying, coming down. And once he sits, and you click and you sit, click, treat, sit, then walk 3 feet away. And if he's just looking at you, wait for him to start sniffing the ground and disengaging. We want him to practice disengaging and listening to us. Now, at first you could do it just sit, 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 but after a while we want him to disengage. So I'd like each one of you to do that with about 15 treats you cut in half with each dog once a day. Do that for a week, and you'll be impressed at how much better your dogs listen to you outside. The first couple days, use a leash. But after a couple days, you won't need the leash. The dogs just follow you around. And then you wait for it to get 3 feet away, 5 feet away, 10 feet away before you ask it to come to you. And remember, you're using the same command word, come or here, or whatever you want to use. And we're doing it, again, without the dogs there. And so this is a nice way to get them just really dialed in and listening to my humans as a rewardable event. I'm guessing there's probably at least 1 or 2 times a day where you could do the click for looks. So try to set yourself a goal that we'd like to each one of ours, and I'd like both handlers to do it with the dog. So one is you do it in the morning, one is you do it in the evening. Again, remember, exercising your dog ahead of time will put it in a position to succeed. And then come over there and practice that. And I'd try to practice that with about 15 treats. Again, cut them in half. And again, the dog's just staring at you, just wait. And as soon as they look at the other dog, and when that dog's moving around, it's probably going to catch its attention. Now, when you're moving towards it, if your dog starts barking or whining or whimpering, you're pushing too much too fast. So you want about 5 or 6 successful look. When I first doing it at the corner, I would keep on doing that until the dog's pretty much just staring. Then I would maybe take 1 step closer and then repeat again until the dog's staring, and keep doing that. When you get to the point where the dog won't sit or won't take the treat or getting whiny or anxious, back up a step further away, get one successful one, and then call it a day. And then I would try to rub their belly or play run, or take them for a walk, or do something really fun afterwards so they enjoy doing it. This might take you a week or 2 weeks to get from there to the fence there, but if you do it right and you don't get greedy, the dog will be able to be at the fence and look at it as a good positive thing. And then you could, eventually what I'd love to see, and I'd love to hear from the guardians if this in a month or two later, the other dog came out, my dogs ran to the fence, and then turned around and ran up to the front, and we just, without even giving a command. Or it ran over there and its tail was wagging and saw the dog as a positive. Now at the same time, we're going to make sure that nothing bad happens with that other dog. So really try to mitigate any potential conflict outside off leash, because that's going to set you back. All right, well, this is my buddy. I thought this should be Doodle, but this is actually Snicker. I think Snicker brown, but anyways, this is Doodle. Snicker is the brown one that you saw earlier. Snickers and Doodle. And this is these are some tips and tricks you can use if you have a dog that doesn't listen to you outside or is reactive to dogs on the other side of your fence.